so that we can have a recording of today's workshop. All right, so first thing first, I want to log into Blackboard, right? And normally once you're logged in, it looks something like this. And your courses are on the right-hand side. And yes, I am logged in as myself. And so I'm going to go into my sandbox course. This is where I break things, right, in my sandbox. I get to play around. So I'm going to go into my content area, and I'm going to create this assignment, right? Let's say we're collecting homework assignments. It's going to be essay based. The students are going to have to write a paper. Let's say a 500-word paper, and they're going to create it using either Microsoft Word or they might use Google Docs. Those are the two most preferred software for creating papers. And then once the student is done, they will submit it to the Dropbox assignment. And don't be confused if you hear a different name. It's sometimes referred to as a Blackboard Dropbox assignment. Some people refer to it as that. Some people just call it a Blackboard assignment. So if you ever hear the word Dropbox assignment, most likely it's the same thing. It's just a box in Blackboard where students can submit their work that way, and therefore alleviating you of having to answer 30 plus emails from students with attachments. So the first thing we do is we have to figure out where do we want this assignment to live, right? So currently I am in the content area of the course. And I know this because at the top here, there's a banner that says content. So this is my content area of the course. But if I have folders and I want my assignment to go into the week one folder, I actually have to open up that folder. And so now notice my breadcrumbs, I'm no longer in the content area. I am now inside the week one folder. So if you follow your breadcrumbs, you'll never get lost in Blackboard. Also, if you look at the banner at the top here, it always will let you know where you are. And so currently I am in the week one folder. And so if I follow my breadcrumbs, I first clicked on content, then I went into week one.
What if you don't have a folder?
If you don't have a folder and you're just working on the content area, let me
Correct.
go back into my breadcrumbs and I go back into content, and then I can just build the assignment right here in the content area.
Content or an assessment?
And right, the assessment could be just in the content area. Now, be careful to not have too many items on the content area, because obviously you don't want to have too many things to confuse the students. Obviously, you want things in an orderly fashion if you're going to put things on the top or rather the bottom. But that's up to you how you design your course, right? If you don't like folders, that's fine. If you just want to use the content area, put everything in the content area, that's fine too. Just keep in mind that sometimes this can get really, really, really heavy or busy with items like I do right here, because again, this is just my play area. So you don't want to have something like this where it's just a long list of things and students got to go through this whole list of items just to find whatever that's due for that day. I usually recommend creating folders to organize yourself, you know, whether you do it in weeks or units, and or if you want to do a folder just for assignments, or a folder just for a midterm, a folder just for the final. Up to you how you decide to design your course. Is everybody any questions so far?
Yeah. Okay. So based upon that, how do you create a folder?
Great question. Right. So this at the top here, right below content, you have four tabs: the build content, assessments, tools, and partner content. Everything you need will be found on these 4 tabs, right? So if I want to create a folder, I just go into build content and choose content folder, right? And so let me see if I want to give this folder a name. Let's call it homework assignments. So now we're creating some structure in our course. So I can type here you will find all the homework assignments for the semester. Something like that, so that they know that this is what they'll find inside this folder. So they're not blindly clicking, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click submit. And like everything else in Blackboard, whenever you create something, it usually drops it all the way down at the bottom, which could be annoying.
Right.
So let me go all the way down there, and there it is. So I'm just going to drag this back up on the top, just because I want to be able to find it. So let's pretend this is the way I structure my course. I want to put all my assignments inside the assignment folder. So remember your breadcrumbs, right? Right now we're in the content area. And so now I'm going to go inside this homework assignment folder. Notice the breadcrumbs. We went from content, and now we're inside the homework assignment. Okay? I don't recommend going no more than 2 folders deep, because then the hierarchy gets out of control. We don't want to go no more than 2 levels down. I think it gets a little too crazy after 2 levels. If I create another folder or another folder, now we're going down that rabbit hole. So best practice, keep it at 2 levels on the breadcrumbs, no further. All right, so now I want my assignment to live inside this homework assignment folder. So if I wanted to live inside the homework assignment folder, I actually have to go and open it and go inside this folder as we are right now. We're inside this homework assignment folder. So this is where I want my assignment to live. So now if I want to create an assignment, I just go to the assessment tab, which is right next to the build content. And I'm going to choose the assignment option. So I'm going to go ahead and click assignment. And I'm going to call this homework number 1. And so now for my instructions, right? So I always say that I gauge how well I design a course by the amount of emails that I get of students asking, like, where do I find this? Where do I find that? So to avoid getting emails from students, I like to create some simple instructions on what they need to do. So for example, I'd say, write a 500-word page essay on, I don't know, Washington. 2, use the following naming convention. And this might not apply to you, but I'm just using this as an example, right? So if I want them to use the following naming convention: first name, last name, for homework number 1, just to make my life easier. And I want them to save it as a PDF. Right, so that's step 2. So in 2 steps, I already have them working on a document, a 500-word page essay. I want them to use the following naming convention. Actually, let me make this in bold, just to emphasize on the naming convention. There we go. And then, no more bold. I don't need any more bold. Right. And then the last step, click on homework number 1 to upload your paper. Browse. Oh, wait. Click on browse my computer to locate your document. And step 5, click on submit, and we call it a day. Click on the submit button. All right, I think these are clear instructions. Very straightforward, 5 simple steps. And if you want to attach a document to this assignment, you can do so. An example of an attachment or a document you might want to attach to an assignment would be some instructions, maybe, right? So you can actually attach instructions to the assignment that way by going here and attaching that document. If you want to add a due date to this assignment, you can do so by clicking on this little box and selecting the due date. The only benefit to due dates is that as the submissions come in, Blackboard will notify you which of those submissions were handed in late. So if that's something that you want to be done for you, you can do so by checking off this box here. And as the submissions come in, it will be marked as late. If it's late, it will have a little mark on it letting you know that it was submitted late. Now, points possible. I'm grading out of 100. If you have a rubric that you want to add, you can do so by adding it here. Now, rubrics are great. I don't want to spend too much time on rubrics, but rubrics will speed up the process, the grading process for you. And if you're interested in rubrics, I have some samples that I can send you for papers or any other type of discussions. I hear a question.
Yeah, I am. I'm interested in the rubrics. If you could send them to me, please.
Yeah,
Sure,
me.
let me.
That's Herb Fisher.
I have no idea what a rubric is. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no worries. So you know what? I have everybody's name. I'll grab everybody's name from this session, and in my summary email, I will include an example of a rubric for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure, not a problem. To be honest with you, I was skeptical at first about rubrics, but after seeing what faculty have taught me with rubrics, I think it's worth not only for the faculty side on grading, but for students also, because if you include a rubric and you make it transparent to students, now there is no room for argument. They know exactly what it is that you're looking for, and so they can say, well, I didn't understand the question. I was like, well, the rubric told you exactly what I was looking for, and you didn't do the job. So transparency is always a key, so that students and you both know what it is that you're looking for as an answer. And that's optional. You don't have to. You don't have to share the rubric with your student. It is optional, but I do recommend sharing it with students just because there's that level of transparency. Okay, I will include that in the summary email. So the next item is submission details, and that's this right here. And this is very important because, again, remember I opened up by saying that I don't want to hear from students with the same question, asking the same question, and emailing me with the same question. So, right, we want to avoid that. What this will do right here is that by default, Blackboard is set up as a single attempt. And this you want to change. You don't want them to only have one attempt, because I guarantee you there's going to be a student out there who uses up their single attempt, and they're going to start emailing you, Professor, I emailed you the wrong homework, or I forgot to add a sentence, and I used up my single attempt. Can you open up the assignment for me? And that's a nightmare, because now you're going to have students. And once you open it up to one student, they're going to tell other student. The other students are going to email you. It's just it's the worst scenario. So what I recommend that you do is select multiple attempts, and you're going to give them 3 strikes, like baseball, right? We give them 3 strikes, you're out. And what this will do is that it will give them 3 attempts to upload their work. Now, we're not going to grade all 3 attempts. We're only going to grade the last attempt. And so every time they upload the assignment, the previous assignment gets removed and the second one overrides the previous assignment. Does everybody understand that? Any questions on that?
That's good.
Okay, great. So this is great. So Blackboard will eliminate previous attempts and only show you that one attempt so that you don't go crazy with, imagine 3 times 25, 75 submissions. That would drive anybody nuts. So there is a plagiarism tool. Is there if you want to use it. There are times it will do a false positive, which means that it's a false alarm. It would mark something as plagiarism, but it's not perfect, right? So just use it with a grain of salt, right? And so if you want to go ahead and do that, you can check that off, but just keep in mind that this is not 100% perfect. I always recommend to faculty to write a little blurb on their syllabus on plagiarism, just so that that plagiarism is covered, and also maybe even talk about it and explain to them what plagiarism is, because a lot of students have no idea the ins and outs of plagiarism. So anyway, grading options. This is rarely ever used. I skip this every time. It's just what this does is just that it will anonymize all your students so that you are not biased to grading. So I really don't use that. Display of grades. What this does is it gives you an opportunity to change how the student sees the grade. So you can use a number grade, a letter grade, complete or incomplete, or if you just want to write text on there. So it allows you to do that if you want to switch it from a numerical to a letter grade or to an incomplete or complete. It also allows you to have a secondary grade. So for example, if you want to give a B, it'll show the numerical grade all as well, along with the letter grade. So you have the option to have a numerical and a letter grade side by side. The next feature here is Grade Center grading calculations. This is always set by default. The only time you would uncheck this if you're creating an assignment that won't count towards the final grade, then you will uncheck this, right? So if you're not planning on counting this towards the final grade, just make sure you uncheck this. Okay. If you want to hide the grade from the student, then you would also uncheck this. This is what this does. And we're going to go through the student role in a few minutes so you can see how the students will see their grades in the My Grades area. All right. The next option here is to show the average and median statistics for this column to students. I rarely seen faculty ever use this. It's just too much information to give to students. You know, it will show the average, the median, and all that extra statistics. Okay. We're good so far? Everybody's okay? Sounds good? All right.
So, yeah. I got from the rubric, but that's okay.
Oh, you got in at the rubric part?
No,
Okay.
I'm sorry. I can't wait to discover what a rubric is, but so far so good. Thank you for explaining so well.
No problem. Yeah, it looks like rubrics has been the highlight for today. I should do a workshop on rubrics. 'Cause rubrics, I could easily spend an hour, 2 hours talking about rubrics because it's really an advanced tool to use. Not advanced, meaning detailed, very detailed subject to talk about. All right, so now this is the big. Oh, here a question?
Yes, I was wondering, I gave assignment to my students, but I now remember that I didn't mark them how many times they can try to submit it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to go back and amend that and allow them more than one attempt?
Yes, you can always come back to these settings. These are not set in stone, so you can always come back and go back and review them. And if you need to change anything here, you can always come back and change it.
Okay.
That would be right here.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, this is a great question. Yeah, because sometimes, we're human. We always sometimes I get distracted with my kids running around, and I forget that instead of one, I put the wrong number or I forget to change it. So yes, you can always come back here and review your settings. All right, so this is the big one here, right? And so when do I want this assignment to become available to my students? This is basically the question that's being asked here. When should this assignment open up to my students? If I keep it the way it is right now, it automatically is available to my students.
Hmm.
But if I do this, now we change the rules. Now it's saying make available when this date approaches. Right? So now if I do it this way, this is a future date. So I'm programming this assignment, or I'm scheduling this assignment to open at a particular date and time. And this is great because now you don't have to remind yourself to open this. This is automatically done for you in the Blackboard system. Now, keep in mind that if you enter the wrong date and time, the system doesn't understand. It's just going to do it. So just be careful. I've seen this happen many times where
Hmm.
faculty will put the wrong date and time, and they're like wondering. I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? This assignment was supposed to open on this date, and then they go back in here in the edit setting, and they look back at it like, oh no, I put the wrong date and time. So when you're troubleshooting, you can always come back here and check. All right. And if you want it to close at a certain point or disappear at a certain date, and so the assignment will go away, you can also do the same. If you wanted to open up on the 24th, and if you wanted to go away on the 26th, then that would be that's how you do that. All right. Any questions so far? Everybody's okay? All right. Okay. For our situation, for what we're doing today, I'm going to keep it open right away. So I'm going to remove these two check marks, and I'm just going to make it available because I'm going to go in as a student next.
And you want to track the number of viewers?
Yes, thank you, Zahava. Yes. So this option allows you to track which students actually opened the assignment. So if you ever get a student who might be lying to you and you're like, I got a bad hunch, I got a bad feeling about this student, and you got a bad feeling about him or her, and you're like, she's telling me that she couldn't open the document because either the date was wrong or didn't open it. This will allow you to open up a report that will tell you which students actually opened the assignment and looked at it.
And how do you know? I mean, is it indicated on when you open the Grade Center? Is it indicated there that the student opened it?
Another great question, Zahaba. Let me show you that next. So let me go ahead and submit this assignment. I think we're happy with this. It looks pretty good to me. I like my steps, my five steps. Also, if you want this, I can also include this in. Oops. If you're interested in copying what I did here, I can also include this in our summary email. If that's something you might want to, like simple 5 steps on how to attach it.
Thank you.
That would be appreciated.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I never thought of that. I should have done that in the previous workshop. It just came to my mind right now. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and submit. And remember, I didn't attach a document to this assignment, but you're able to actually, let me do one real quick. let me just attach a document to this. Here's a syllabus for an English course, but it's just using as an example. So I'm also attaching a document to this assignment. All right, let's go ahead and submit. And again, like everything else in Blackboard, oh, well, this is the only thing. So we're in a folder, so this is the bottom. So we created our first assignment, all right? And right away, you can know it's an assignment by the icon that you see here. It's a piece of paper with a pencil and a ruler.
Mhm.
That's your indicator that this is an assignment. And that's how you know. And that's how you can distinguish this from an item, a file, a folder, a web link. They all have their own unique icons that distinguish whether they're an assignment or just an item. Okay. So now let's go in as a student.
Jose, excuse me one moment.
Sure.
So that's in content, or that it ends up in content, or does it end up in any other place on the left-hand side?
Oh, so yeah, that's a great point. Right. So remember, we follow the breadcrumbs, right? So if I go back into content,
Okay,
the folder lives inside content,
right.
but the assignment lives inside the homework assignment folder.
Got it.
And so as we're following our breadcrumbs, always remember the breadcrumbs are a nice way to get our get not get lost in the Blackboard forest.
Yeah, but this
Right.
will also go into course information, same way?
Course, yeah. If you want to work on the course information, you can also do that there. It works in any of these.
If course information has more room, would it be advisable to put it there rather than in content so people don't get confused?
Yeah, you can do. You have, as the teacher, you have all the rights to do whatever you want in your course. This is your world, right? So you can, if you wanted to live in here in the course information area, you can do the same. I can also create it there in the
Right,
course information.
exactly. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Great.
No, that's a great question. Yeah, sometimes we forget. I forget to mention that. That's a good point because right away I always think of the content area as to put or create material, but no, that's wrong. You can go to any of these and create material anywhere else.
Got
Okay.
it. Thanks, Jose.
Sure. That's a great question. All right. So we have our homework assignment. We have the title. We have the document that we attached to it, and this is that little blue text here. So if I click on that blue text, I get a little pop-up window with whatever document I had attached to it. This could be easily the instructions to the assignment, right? Then I have my 5-step instructions, right? This is the end goal, or this is the deliverable. Here is the naming convention. Here is how to upload your paper, right? And then I click on browse my computer and then click on the submit button. All right, so now I'm going to go in as a student. Now I'm going to switch from a teacher to the student by going to this little button over here, and this we call it the evil eye. It looks like an eye. And if you click on this, it will allow you to see your course from the student's perspective, right? And why is that important? Because there are times that you can see something from the instructor's point of view, but when you go into the student perspective, it looks completely different, right? So, like for example, if I had scheduled this assignment to open 3 days from now, it will show it to me, even though it shouldn't. But once I go into the student preview mode, it won't show it to me because it's not yet the date and time for it to open. So this is why I recommend always use the student preview mode so that you can put yourself in the shoes of a student and experience your course as a student. Because if you do that, you might see things that you don't like, and you might decide to redesign the way or change the way that you design your course. All right, so let's click on the evil eye. Now it's telling me that student preview mode is on, and that's what this orange banner is saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing this course now as a student. So let me go into the content area, and I'm going to go into the homework assignment folder, and I'm going to read carefully my instructions. And then as a student, I'm also going to download this document, or I can just view it from here, right? And I can go through it and read my instructions. Okay, and now I wrote my paper. I'm fast forwarding ahead. I wrote my 500-word page paper. And so I'm going to click on the title, right? And remember, on step 4, click on Browse My Computer. There it is right there. Again, these instructions will be great for 100 level courses. And again, sometimes 200 level courses, because you never know. Some students have little experience, might have minimal experience using Blackboard. And that's why these steps will be helpful for those 100, 200 level courses where students have minimal experience using Blackboard. All right, so step 4, click on Browse My Computer. Now I need to locate my paper. Let's see if I have something that's not too embarrassing. This is always the hard part. I always refer to my son's homework. Let me see. Actually, let me do that. Let me do my son's homework. Monday news. This would be embarrassing if I accidentally upload my personal information. Here we go. Monday news. Joshua. All right. My son will probably kill me one day when I find out that I shared his homework with all the faculty at FIT. But that's what we are. Right? That's what parents do. That's our role, right? We have to embarrass our kids. All right. So here we go. I attached my son's homework, Monday news. Now the student can also include a little comment here to the professor if he or she wishes to. They can write something here. I don't know, maybe I apologize for submitting late or whatever. This is an opportunity for a student to add a comment to their submission. Now, that's pretty much it for the student. There's not much left to do. Now, I did a mistake. I didn't follow my naming convention, so I might get 5 points deducted. I didn't follow my own rules, but it's okay. This is just a simulation, right? So you'll get that a lot from students. Then they'll never follow all the steps. So
Okay.
it happens, So I'm going to click on submit. And now the student will get a preview of their work. Not only that, but the student gets a little message here in the top with a green. It says success. Your submission appears on this page. The submission confirmation number is 313 blah blah blah, a long number. But this is confirmation that the work has been received by the Blackboard system. So if your student is ever telling you or saying I did the submission, all you have to say to the students, show me your confirmation number. Right? That's the receipt that the work was submitted. Right? Not only that, but the system or Blackboard emails your student in your behalf. And look at this. I get an email from Blackboard letting you know your work was received. You successfully submitted your coursework. And there's that confirmation number once again. So if you ever want to challenge your student and they're challenging you, they'll say, well, I submitted the work. I don't know why you don't see it. Well, show me the confirmation email that the system sent you, and then I'll take you serious from there. If they can provide you this email.
Is it automatic that this email's sent, or do I have to tick a box to have an email sent?
Oh, it happened right away, as you saw. Once I clicked submit, it was a matter of maybe a second or two where I received this
So it
email.
just happens automatically. That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. It does it on your behalf.
Okay.
So yeah, you don't have to do all this work on your, it's just an automated system.
Okay.
All right. Oops, I went to my calendar. No. Okay, here we go. Sorry. And so now
Oh,
oh, oh, my son's home. Yeah. So from here, the student gets like, you know how the last second before you say bye, like before the rocket shoots off to outer space, they get a last view or a last chance to see their work.
mhm.
And so they get to see their work here. And so, okay, so I think we are done with the students, right? This is pretty much it for the student side. So now let's switch the role back to the teacher, right? So the
Okay.
student already submitted the work. I got to take a look at it. It looks okay to me. If I see something, a mistake, the student can start new and change it and re-upload. If, for example, if I uploaded the wrong homework, I can always click here and start the process over again, right? Start new.
Mhm.
Okay. So now I'm going to exit the preview and let's go back as a teacher. I'm just going to save my data because again, this is a simulation, so I don't want to lose any of my data. So you don't have to do any of this. This is just for the purpose of role playing that we're doing right now. All right. And so now we're back in as a teacher. All right. So now the deadline is up. All the submissions should be in by now. Does anybody know where I go to find these submissions?
No.
Is it in Grade Center? This is Randy. Sorry.
That
Great.
was close.
Now,
You're getting close.
Oh,
Not
close.
Great Center?
Needs grade.
grading.
Yeah, someone said it. Yeah, needs grading.
Right.
Okay.
Under the grade center. Yeah, so I was hoping I was looking for this one, but you're right. Under grade center needs grading. That's where we. Okay, so here we go. You get partial credit.
Yes.
So here we are, and from here, you can, if you're running several assignments at the same time, the system will allow you to filter, right? You can filter by items. See how I have homework number one, and I also have upload your essay here. If I only want to see homework number one, I click on that, and then I click go, and now I only see the homework number one.
Mhm.
And that's how you can filter. And, that's a useful tool because if you do that times 30, this list will go down, 30 times 2, that would be 60. And this can get very long if you're
Yeah.
running concurrent assignments at the same time, and that can drive you a little nuts. And then also you can do by date. You can filter before, after, or exact date, or by. So it's pretty neat. It gives you flexibility as to how you want to filter. All right. And so this is my son's homework here. So for you to go in there, you'll just have to click on the name, the student name.
Mhm.
And so I'll click on that. Once you're in into that student's work, notice at the top here, it's easy for you to do the markups and grade and then move on to the next student by clicking next. So that will save you time from having to go out, come back in, go out, come back in. You can knock down 30 assignments by just going next, 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 next.
Okay.
All right. So now if I want to do markup, right, I want to mark this up. And I think this is me, and I think this is my wife. I think I can only tell by the long hair. I think that might be me, or that might be that might be him, and that could be his daughter, his sister. I'm trying to figure this out. So here I can grab the pencil tool. All right. And oh, by the way, color, it's a big deal, right? I hear from students sometimes where the red might be already a bad sign, and so they've been conditioned to see red as a bad thing.
Mm.
So you know, you might want to mix it up a little bit, maybe blue or something that might be neutral, right? And you want to say, you know, maybe, and then, you know, like a little arrow, and let's say, is this daddy? Or, you know, you can do text, and you can also move the text around.
Wow,
That's
that's
one.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah. This has just been upgraded recently, about a month ago. This is Blackboard Annotate. You can also leave little post-it notes.
Mhm.
Where is that? Where's the post-it notes? I think they're over here. I forget what they are. Oh, here we go. So I had to go back to the main menu. So the post-it notes are here. These little comment bubbles. And you can leave a comment. Let's say, okay, on Sunday I went to the park. So let's say, hey, make sure to add a period at the end of, you know, these are comments that you can leave. And say, so now the student can, they see a little post-it note, click on it, and it opens up. That's another way to leave feedback on the actual document. So it's very robust. You can add images if you want to put a sticker or stamp. I don't know. I don't see why you would do that, but um, yeah, you can easily mark up. You can add shapes, lines, and so it's a really good tool to use for marking up the students' papers. Any questions on markup and editing? Sorry, markup and annotating? No
Where do you
questions?
insert the grade? If I want to give this beautiful homework 6 out of 100, where would I insert 6 out of 100?
Yes, great question. So that's a great segue into now, where do I enter the grade? So
Okay.
here, this is where you would enter the grade. And so remember, I chose to grade out of 100.
Okay.
So let's say I give this a 95, and I say, you know, work on the grammar, and that could be the feedback. Oops, I gotta work on my grammar. Um, Now, if you're interested in leaving audio feedback, that's also possible. So if you have a course like maybe illustration and very detailed feedback, you can click on this capital A right here. And right over here, there's a microphone icon. And when you're ready to record, you just press on this red button and your audio will be recorded. You can also do video if you like. I don't know, because I guess sometimes feedback is lost in translation when we use text, and it happens all the time. Whenever I text my brother or my sister, they think I'm screaming at them. But you know, sometimes so that can happen when you're leaving feedback for students, especially specific detailed instructions or feedback can get lost in translation. So maybe if I do this, I hit record, I get a countdown. I said, Joshua did great work. Just make sure that you add a period at the end of every sentence. So I hit stop. I can play back and listen to it if I like it or redo it. If I just hit save and exit and I say insert the recording, now there's a little film strip there next to my text, which now the student will be able to listen and also read the feedback. So I'm going to go ahead and click submit. And I think I'm pretty much done on this end from the professor. I did some markups. I, I did some notes. I'm sorry?
It's Lucy. I just had a question.
Oh, sorry.
Um,
Go ahead.
if you did all these markups, because I'm a design class, and you did all the markups, and maybe you did the recording, I didn't know you could do that, so that's great. But then how do you send this to the student?
Yes, yes, perfect segue.
Because I
So
mean,
now,
in the past I've like taken it, if it's a paper or something, downloaded it myself onto my desktop, and then I email it to them. But I'm thinking there's probably a better way.
Yes, no. We remember we want less work. We're automating everything, so we're getting rid of emails. We're reducing emails being sent to to the professor, and then we're also reducing emails going out to the student. So I'll show you the next. That's a perfect segue. So so now, how does the student see this? How do they get their grade? How do they see the feedback? And how do they see the markup? Right. So I'm going to go ahead and submit this. Once I hit submit, the student automatically, if they have the notifications on, will get alerted that there's a grade ready for them. And so now I'm going to go back into the evil eye just to go back into the student mode or student role. So I'm going to go back in as a student now. Let's go click on that. All right. And now for the student to see their grades, does anybody know where the students go see their grades?
My grades?
Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you, Lucy. Right. So students always go to my grades.
Okay.
All right, here we go. And so homework number one, there it is, September 26. Wow, we're in 26 already. No, 22nd? Oh, that's the date that has a due date. I was scared. I was like, wait, where's September 26th?
Yeah. How's it going?
It was here it is, September 22nd. It just tells me the due date was September 26th. So now the student can see, this is what they see. And this is why they're always the anxiety of to see what score they got. And they're
Oh.
this is for them a big deal because you don't want to, and I understand it takes time to grade these, so you can't have this right away, done these so I understand from both sides, from the teacher, which it takes, you got 30 every class. I mean, you might have 4 sections, so you have a ton of papers to grade. So but anyway, so the student is here now, and the student can see their grade, 95 out of 100. They have a comment bubble here that they can click on to get their feedback. So if I click on this, now I see work on the grammar, and then I also have my recording. So the student will click on that play button, and I hate hearing my voice. Oh, I don't think I don't think you can hear it because I have my headphones on. But let me take off my headphones. You should be hearing it now. Let me try that again. You add a period at the end of every sentence. So okay. So I think were you all able to hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm putting back my headphones on. All right, so then the student gets to hear your audio feedback. And if the student wants to look at the markups, they click here. And now the student, oh, it's loading. There we go. Now they can see the markups. And they can also see the grade and everything else here. And so, oh, look at that, balloons.
Adorable.
So cute. I love these little balloons.
That's what we say.
So this is from the student perspective, right? So the student was able to listen to my comments, read the comments, see the markup, see the grade. And so that was a full cycle of an assignment on Blackboard. Now, doing it this way will heavily reduce the amount of email back and forth. Not only that, but it will allow you to have somewhat of a communication between students and yourself with the feedback.
Question, Jose.
Yeah.
When I opened my need grading, I saw a blue circle next to my student's name. What does it mean? Like a blue circle?
Yes, that's a great question. That blue circle means that the student is actually working on it, and they haven't submitted the work yet.
Okay.
It's in progress. Yeah, I think. Let me see if I can find one. I might have one. Let me see if I can show you from the full grade center. It can also show up here in the grade center.
The problem is I only gave them one attempt. They may not be able to submit it, right? Is that it? So
that could be the problem. Yeah, it could be that they didn't finish it, and then you give them one attempt, and they can't really submit again, and so that they're probably stuck in limbo somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, limbo. So yeah, that's why it's best practice that when you create the assignment, let me go back in there. I'll show you one more time. Here under homework number one, if you click on
Mm-hmm.
the chevron and you click on edit,
Mm-hmm.
and remember it's right over here in submission details.
Right.
Don't forget to go in here because by default it's set to single attempt.
Okay. I think it's really bad that they do it by default single attempt. They should give them more than one,
Yeah,
opportunity to do.
I agree with you, but I think they do it that way because there's some faculty who are really strict about this one.
Yeah.
That's my guess. I don't know. Um, but
Say I have a question. If
sure.
how would I create an assignment? For example, I would like. I'm not actually a professor. I'm a staff member in Italy. I'd like. We've created a Blackboard course, let's say, for pre-departure. I'd like them to send me 5 documents in one assignment. Can I do that?
Oh,
Is
yeah,
that
that's a great question because once I go in here, let me go back in as a student,
okay?
and I try to attach more than one file. I've
Uh-huh.
noticed that that can be a problem, but
Yeah.
that's a, that's a great question. So, you know what? Actually, that's a good segue into an alternative solution to this.
So do you think I should make 5 assignments for the 5 documents, or one assignment and you show me the way to make 5?
There's several ways around that.
Okay.
If your students are savvy, or if you explain to them, and Lucy, you and I had this conversation this morning, is that if you have a PDF and it's multi-pages,
Hmm.
and if your students know how to do a multi-page PDF and submit it as one file, that's a workaround. The second workaround would be, like you said, have 5 assignments, and then each Dropbox will have one file, one file, one file. Because think
Okay.
about it, when you get to needs grading,
Hmm.
it's going to be difficult for the system to show you all 5.
Yes, because that's
That-
been driving me crazy. So I
right.
should make homework assignment with, and then use the content to make 5. Okay, I can do
That,
that. That's
that
actually
would be
makes more sense.
easier. Right. Right. The other alternative, like I said before, was if you do a multi-page PDF where the student they have it's not that easy because you have to go into Adobe Acrobat, you have to have those 5 documents, you have to be it's not that straightforward for Adobe Acrobat. It's not they have to go into Adobe Acrobat, find those 5 documents, attach those 5 documents, merge them into one document, save it as a PDF, and then submit it as a one PDF. Not all students know how to do that
No,
unless you
I don't think I know how to do that. So no. Okay.
Hey, what if you want them to do a summary of a chapter? Would that work the same way?
Well, a summary of the chapter would be one document, right? And so they would just submit.
Right.
Right, so that would work. That shouldn't be a problem. What we're looking at here is if there are 5 separate
Well,
assignments you want them to submit, I would definitely create a Dropbox assignment for each one.
Okay.
That's a great question. Yeah, I haven't heard that one before. That's a good one.
Oh,
Um,
sorry.
and is anyone interested in tests? Because I do have some time left.
I
And
am.
All right,
Yes.
so let's real quickly let's go into tests. And so I think we've pretty much covered assignments. Assignments are kind of straightforward.
Jose, I just had one quick question about assignments.
Sure.
Just for instance, like the first day, and I think I told you I was showing them part of a movie, and then I let them write a little paper on it, but it's not like being graded as a like a major assignment or anything, it's just part of the participation grade.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
would I be able to could I still comment to them the way we did before
Yeah,
on it,
yeah.
even though it's not being graded?
That's a great uh, uh, point, Lucy. You can still comment on it here. You see how an assignment must have a
Right.
grade? They don't give
I
you the
put,
option,
yeah, I put the 100 there, and then
right?
I just wasn't sure what.
Yeah, but there's one more thing you got to do, Lucy. It's over here.
Hmm.
Wait, where is it? Over here. Remember we talked about Where is it? I'm losing my
Right,
place.
yeah, under there,
Here,
don't
here.
include. Mhm.
Right. So if you're, yeah, so if you're using the gray book, then this really matters. If you're not using the gray book, no big deal, right? So if you are using the gray book and this is an assignment that does have zero value to the running total or the final grade, then you want to make sure you uncheck this. So it doesn't count towards the final calculations.
Okay, but
Remember,
you should still click those show it to students in my grade, and then they would be able to see it? Is that, you unclick that, but leave the second thing on?
oh yeah, yeah, they will still see. But in your case, since you don't want to count towards anything, you might just want to say a complete or incomplete. That might be a little easier. So that right? Is that what you're looking for, Lucy? There?
Um, yeah, I mean, I guess that would work complete. But then underneath here where you have clicked off lower, it says showing students in my grades. I mean, that's going to show up.
Oh, right. Yes.
Clicked, and then they'll be able to see my comment.
Yes, yes. So you make sure you keep this on because you want them to be able to see your comments and your feedback and your markups. This
Mhm.
is because if you remove this, they won't have access to the markups or
Mhm.
the grade. Because remember, it is through my grades that they can access the markups and the grades. But once you take this off, they'll never see it. If you remove this, they will never see the results of their paper.
Okay. So,
If it was complete or incomplete, would you then click on the box including grade center? So you would see in the grade center it was completed.
Oh, well, the only reason why you would uh, check this is because this assignment has an effect on the final grade.
Mhm.
So and again, I just want to make sure that everyone understands that this really applies if you're the type of professor who is using the gray book, right? So you got to ask yourself first, am I using the gray book to calculate the grades for me? If so, if you are using the gray book, then make sure this is important to you. This is important to you. If not, if you're not using the gray book to calculate the grades for you, then this doesn't really matter to you.
Okay.
so
That that that
you can do grades like an old-fashioned way by hand, and you just make sure you click show to students in my grades, and they can see your comments. But you would tell them I'm going to be giving you your grades some other way. I mean, I'd like to do the grade book. I know we talked about that, but I have a lot of small things like this that are exercises. So, I mean, they kind of should count in some way, either
Mhm.
toward participation or, so I'm not really sure how to set that up. And
Right.
we're going to meet later this week.
Yeah,
Talk
yeah,
about, but
yeah,
I mean, in the meantime, I might just want to answer them on some things that they've done.
right,
And
right, right,
pretty much like everything should really count somehow, but that's some questions that I would need to figure out, like how to
right,
include it.
right. And don't worry, Lucy, I'll sit down with you and I will help you with
Mm-hmm.
the gray book so that
I
it
don't
will be
take time.
automated. And so everything will, you know, the gray book, I can sit down with you later on and we can get it going. And anybody else, if you're interested in meeting one-on-one with me, I can also help you automate your gray book. I'm not the only one who does it. I know Margaret Bishop is another person. If I'm not available, Margaret also can help you with your grade book. If that's, if I'm not available, just remember Margaret Bishop. She's also, I call her the Blackboard Whisperer. So real quick, let me show you a little bit on tests because I know some people are waiting on the test, and I want to show you. I just want to show you. Let me cancel that. All right. So tests, right? So now tests is also. So let's get out of the homework assignment, right? I don't want my test to live inside this folder, right? So I'd use my breadcrumbs again to go back into the content area, right? And let's say I want to create a folder just for tests. So I go build content folder, and let's call this tests. So basically I'm creating a folder for I'm creating like these little buckets of like organizational buckets that so that things are not too messy for my students and they can find things easier as I group them together. Okay, and like everything else in Blackboard, I'm sure it goes all the way down to the bottom. There it is. This is one thing I hate about Blackboard. All right, let's bring it back up. All right, so now we have two folders, tests and homework assignments.
Okay.
And so now real quickly, I'm going to show you how you can create a test. And now, so tests is also another great way to, um, to have maybe a weekly test. And these are formative assessments, which are low stakes assessments. And the reason why I like these quizzes and low stakes assessments or formative assessments is because they will they will red flag those students who are struggling. And right away, you'll know who they are. Because once they take a quiz, you'll see their grade. And right away, you can figure out a way to match them up with a poor student with an excellent student and have them work together, or whatever it is that you want to do to help them. This is a great way to identify those students. So the same way, we go into the assessments tab, but instead of going into the assignment, now we choose test. As you can see, I have many quizzes. I've been doing I've been doing way too many quizzes. This is good to see because now I've developed a catalog of quizzes that I can always use, in the future, or if I want to take some of these questions from my quizzes and bring them over to the midterm or the final, you can do so, right? So you can use a pool of questions. Now, is anyone here using a third-party vendor like McGraw-Hill or Pearson's or one of those companies? No, nobody? Oh, so some departments have been blessed with one of these, third-party vendors where now they can get their questions directly from the vendors. So depending on which department you're in, you might have like a vendor like McGraw-Hill that you can tap into and get some questions, generated questions that you can actually use for your quizzes. And they also have test generators. Let's call this quiz example. Again, you can do your instructions here. You have 15 minutes to complete this quiz. Any other instructions you want to give them here? You will have, let's say, 2 tries. If that's what you allow them to do, you can have 2 attempts to quiz. All right. And so I'm going to go ahead and click submit. And our quiz is created, but there are no questions. All right, it's an empty quiz with no questions. So now you have 3 options. We have a quiz, but there's no questions. But now I have 3 options. Do I create my own questions, which is the first option? Do I tap into my pool of questions? Or do I upload questions from, let's say, Pearson's or McGraw-Hill? Or if you have, or if you have a friend or faculty a member who gave you, who shared with you his or her questions, this is where you would go to and upload questions. Now, the great thing about upload questions is that if you have, let's say, a midterm or a final that has 50 plus questions, you can do a batch upload. And those 50 questions will automatically appear instantaneously. And you don't have to spend the whole evening typing away each question.
Yeah, Jose, can you upload from a file?
Yes, correct. You can. So that's what we're doing here when you do upload questions. So for example, let me show you an example. Okay. Upload questions. I have a file that was submitted by a professor in I think marketing department, and I can use that as an example to show you how I do that. So I did that too fast. Let me go back. I went to upload questions over here. I click browse, and I think it's in my desktop. It's Professor Romano. Yeah, here we go. This is his midterm, right? I think there's 50 plus questions in here. Let me upload that. So there's 50 questions times
Will it
2.
also apply to essays, Jose?
I'm sorry?
Will it also apply to essay exam?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
whatever. Yeah, it could be mixed type questions, correct.
Okay.
So let me go ahead and click submit. Oops, I grabbed the wrong one. It was a TXT one. So keep in mind that you're going to upload a question. Here it is, midterm exam TXT. All right, so I'm going to click submit and 2 points for every question because there's 50 questions. And let's see what happens. Boom, look at that.
Ooh.
Oh, that was only one question. Let me see if I can do another one that has more than one question. Let me grab, here it is, 50 questions. AC 114. I think this is it. This has 50 questions. And this is the reason why I would use it, because it's just a batch upload of a large number of questions. There we go. Look at this. All of these were done in one shot. These are a lot of questions that you otherwise would normally have to do it manually.
Mm.
Look, it goes on forever. I just did it in one click. So this is where the advantage comes if you have a pool of questions, right? And in this case, this is multiple choice, but like it could be true, false, it could be short answer, it could be many different types of questions. But let's say I wanted to create my own question, right? And so here's a long list of question types. Now, I will warn you, not all of these are created equal. There's some that are good and some that are horrible. And the good ones are, for example, fill in the blank, multiple choice, short answer works really well.
Hmm.
Don't use matching, that's horrible. It's really confusing. Some of these don't work, so just keep an eye. I would say go in here and play with these and just test them out. But not all of these are great. So let me just show you real quick an example because I think I'm going over. Let me just check my calendar, make sure I don't have anybody else. Oh, at 4:30. Oh, I'm here till 4:30. Oh, that's why. So 3 to 4:30. So I do have another. I can open up for questions at the end if anybody has. Um, but let me do one quick multiple choice question just to show you how it is to create a question. And remember, anything that has an orange asterisk is required. So
Huh.
let's say this is multiple choice. What color is the sky today? And so here I can select the options or answers. I have 4 possible answers.
Mhm.
Also, I can choose if I want to make it in uh, a numbering for, it could be 1, 2, 3 or A, B, C.
Oh.
If I want to make this vertical or horizontal, I can randomize the answers. This will minimize cheating. And so let's say answer 1, and I'll say yellow. Notice by default, it's set to the first answer as correct. So keep in mind, let's say I want to make answer number 2 the correct answer. I have to check on it, check the box. Let's say I put blue,
Okay, Peter. Okay.
and let's make it this one red, and the last one I'll choose green. Also, you can add feedback for the correct response, but most likely it's best to do the incorrect response feedback. That's where a learning moment happens, is when the student gets it wrong. And I can say, well, the sky is blue because, you know, that's where your teachable moment or, can happen, right? Because from a correct response, you can get a teachable moment. And these little options are for if you are planning to build your own pool of questions, this allows you to categorize a question by a topic, level of difficulty, or keywords. So if you're
Okay.
looking to,
How would
yeah.
all this, how would all this apply to essays?
Oh, so for essay, this part will apply to, let's say my short answer, if I consider it a medium difficulty, I can make it medium. If I want to make it, you're talking about this part right here?
No, no,
Or general?
in other words, you're doing multiple, whatever it is. I'm asking you about essay exams, because my exams are essays, and they're worth different points, and each essay is worth different percentage.
Sure, sure. So I could do a short answer right here, and so this will be a short, or you could do essay or short answer. It's almost the same.
Okay,
And so this almost applies the same. Only difference here is that it gives you a little area here to kind of put an exemplary answer. It's blue because, and then you'll give your answer here. So this allows you to create what you're looking for as an answer. And then you can also attach a rubric to a short answer or an essay question. You can add it here. And that's pretty much it for a short answer or essay question.
gotcha.
Okay. And so we created questions from scratch, and we also uploaded some questions from a generator or a
File would you upload? I noticed you uploaded TXT files. Could I also upload from a Google Doc?
Yes, that's a great question. So if you decide to build your questions on your own separately on Google Doc,
Hmm.
you can do so. I have a Blackboard test generator that I can share with you if you're interested.
Yes, please.
And this is one from Oklahoma Christian University.
Oh, I have that.
This one I've been using now for 2 years. It works great. But if you have one already, you can use your own. Basically, what this does is, let me show you what it does.
Okay.
Let me open up that document where I have all those questions. Let me show you what this does. So here is the exam that I just uploaded.
Uh-huh.
This one right here. That's the answer key. Okay, let me open up this. So for example, let's say you're building your exam from scratch and you're using, let's say, Microsoft Word or Google Docs, and this is what you have in front of you. Right? Let's say this is what you have,
Yeah.
right? Let's say something like
Yeah.
this. And you have over 50 plus questions.
Okay.
Now, what I can do is I can just highlight the questions. Let's say I take the first 5 questions. I copy that.
Hmm.
I go into my my Blackboard test generator, and give it a name. I just paste the questions here.
Uh-huh.
I click on generate test questions,
Okay.
and it will tell me these are all wrong. And the reason why these are wrong was because I never,
You didn't put an asterisk in.
right, I never indicated the answers.
Okay.
So here, the instructions tell you that the answers have to have an asterisk. So if I do this, now, if I would have thought ahead, I would have made sure that the asterisks were already on my Word document, right?
Yeah.
Before copying and pasting it over. So look at this now. So if I put the asterisk in here, this is a great way because now it's making sure that Blackboard will accept these questions. There's no way. I hear a question.
Oh, no, just saying thank you. I just have to go. I'm sorry, but thanks so much.
Sure. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you for coming by, and we'll meet soon.
Okay, thank you.
Bye,
Sure.
Lucy.
Take care. Bye bye. And so here, I'm just going to click test or generate the test questions, and look at that.
Wow. You see, I've seen this, but I've never used it. It just looked really scary, but you just made it look so easy, so I will use it in the future. Okay.
Now look at this. I can either choose to have the TXT file created for me here.
Okay.
That's what this does. And this is the zip file. This is TXT and this is zip. They give you 2 different file types. If you're going to do the questions, it's going to be a TXT.
Uh-huh.
And then I'll end here just to open up for questions. See that TXT?
Yes.
And then if you want to do a question pool, then it's a zip file. Oops. You see zip is opening as my WinZip. So that's how you get, right. And then now that's where I take this TXT Then I go over here back to my Blackboard. Where is it? I go back to Blackboard. Oops, I opened it on the same tab.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, let me just go back. There it is. I got back. And
So
then
you
I'm
would go for the questions and you would go for the TXT, which you've created previously. Awesome. That solves a lot of my problems. Thank you.
yeah, I'm great. I'm happy that it's
Now it makes
yeah, especially if you have over 50 plus multiple choice or true and
yeah.
false question. This will easily you could do a batch upload of all those questions. All right,
Oh,
and I'll stop there. Now, I mean, there are more advanced features, but I don't want to go. We already covered enough, and I want to. My brain's.
so it's been great because my colleague dealt. We work in an office, and we're the office from FIT in Florence. So because we're all online, we're having to do a lot of. This is not a. Okay, I'm wasting your time, but I really wanted to know how I could create an assignment with more than 5 different documents, but
Mhm.
instead I've learned 1,000 other things.
Sure. Thank you, Sahaba. Thank you for coming by. Now,
Yeah, nice to meet
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. It's this is one way to have students submit their work. What we did today with assignments. There's
Mm.
also another tool called Padlet, which can allow students to submit work, especially visual work like drawings and things like that. Um, Not only that, but if you use Padlet, if you have one big board that students submit their work in there, it will allow all your students to see everyone's work. That's something that you cannot do with the Dropbox assignment, right? You're only seeing your individual work, and the teacher is only seeing the students' work. But if you're looking
Okay.
for something that's more collaborative, where the students can actually submit the work, but then also see everyone's work, that would be Padlet.
Ah,
So, all right, thank you all for coming by. I will email you all a summary email with the links that we talked about today, and also the link to the recording, and also the rubric. I can't forget about the rubric. I will do a sample rubric in there so that you all can see it. And if you're interested in more about rubrics, let me know. I should probably create a workshop just on rubric, and then or have a one-on-one session with me, and I can show you how to create your own rubric and how to attach it to the assignment. All right.
awesome. That would be great. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you for coming by. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thank
Oh, wait, it's
you.
only Tuesday.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.